I'm Born in China Shop, and welcome to my little online space. I guess I'll go ahead and start off by introducing myself and explaining some things about the channel. My real name is Braden, and the name Born in China Shop doesn't really have like any real meaning. I just it's a name my dad used to describe me when I was younger, like me saying, and then one day I just kind of stuck with it while playing games. Um, I've never really done anything like this before, like uploaded my videos on here, but I kind of just want to come on here and use it like an online journal that I can use to get my thoughts out there, analyze stuff, kind of retrospective on stuff that I'm reading, watching, or playing. Like recently I've gotten really big into comic books after the Superman movie, great movie by the way, and that set me on a path of like buying a bunch of comic books. And so a lot of this first stuff on the channel is probably going to be topics covering comic books. I'm always going to try to look as deep into the topic that I'm covering as I can and give my most like true thoughts and analysis on it. But I would love to have discussions in like the comments with viewers, or even recommendations from y'all. Those would be extremely welcomed, because I'm new in the comic book space. I don't know exactly what I should go to get, like what I should get. I don't know yet. But even if nobody sees these, I'm still going to be really happy uploading them, just to have my thoughts out there on the internet. But if you see the video and you enjoy it, please stick around for future discussions and videos. I'd love to have you here. So, as you can already tell by the title, I read Watchmen. It's the DC Compact version. I knew the first thing getting into comics that DC Compact's like the best bang for your buck. You get this entire thing for $10. And so alongside that, last week I also picked up the Batman Court of Owls saga. Very excited to read this. The Daredevil Born Again Premiere Collection. A little bit more expensive, not by much, by like $5. Very excited to read this. I hope it sets me on the path of more Daredevil stories. I've heard a lot of his stories are great. He just gets really good writers. So I'm really excited to read that. I also, earlier this week, I picked up The Last Ronin. Very excited to read this as well. The art looks sick. I've heard great things about it from friends, from like online, just people saying, like, giving it constant praises. Really excited to read this. And actually earlier today, I picked up my Superman pen. I picked up All-Star Superman DC Compact. I was looking for the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow one, but this is another one I heard is great, and I'm really excited to read this as well, especially after the Superman movie. I've heard a lot of good things from Grant Morrison as a writer. Now, go ahead and jumping into Watchmen itself as a topic. I think it was a pretty good read for like my first getting me into the comics sphere, like getting me into reading comics. I think it was a really good read. I have some small gripes with it, and there was a little rough points, but overall, the book was pretty great to run through. Starting us off, we have Alan Moore on writing and Dave Gibson on the art. Great duo. Personally, though, and I think this would probably go from a lot of what I've heard, Alan Moore's writing is what shines through the most about Watchmen. It is just like, it is a work of art writing-wise. It is so good. And that's not saying it's perfect. By no means is the writing perfect. There's a lot of gripes you could have with it, like the Black Freighter or Rorschach. Is that how you say his name? I really don't know. But like his journal or his improperness in his grammar. Definitely like my two probably biggest gripes with it were like the ending. Those are like my main gripes, but I'll get to those all separately. Still, even with those though, it's so good at pulling me in. It's just, it's great. Now, Dave Gibson on the art is also really good. It gave off that great, dark, gritty aesthetic that helped pull me into Watchmen's world. With that said, there weren't very like memorable, impactful panels that just like, wow. There's only like two I can think of off the top of my head. That being at the end of I think it's chapter 4, Watchmaker, when Dr. Manhattan builds his big glass palace on palace on Mars, and like the meteor showers coming down. Beautiful, great art. I loved it. That's definitely probably my favorite panel in the whole book, or maybe even favorite moment. Especially just because that chapter is through and through good. But also the start of the final chapter, when it just bodies lining the street everywhere, thousands dead in the panels, obviously it's millions. Fantastic. It just fills you with like this ill feeling. You're just like, oh, fuck. He won. Vite won. But it's not really winning. I'll get to that. So while the art is very good, I wouldn't say it like that's what it stuck with me. Obviously, the writing oversees the art and approaches it. It's better than the art, but it's like that '90s feeling is like a lot of the comics, especially like Born Again, All-Star Superman seems mostly the same as well. Kind of the older comic book that I've seen, like I've obviously read some growing up, so seen that. But other than that, I don't really have much to say for the art. So I think we're gonna go ahead and get into like story-wise now. Story-wise, I think it was fantastic through and through. It did an especially good job at making the world feel very real. I mean, with all like the conflicts going on and like the symbolism and the imagery, all the events, everything, it felt real. It was very in touch with like reality. Now I know vigilantes, not really a thing. Dr. Manhattan, very fictional and superpowers, but even then, it still felt. It didn't feel as fictional as like some say Marvel comics or other like DC runs. It's just like this could be an alternate reality in our real world, very easily. It's just like Dr. Manhattan happened, things surged. Like Dr. Manhattan forming was like the split in advancement between our world and the Watchmen world, and I think that's awesome. I think that's one of the things Watchmen does best is making the world feel real, and Alan Moore's writing is definitely the major part in that. Like all the little mini chapters in between, like, or not mini chapters, but like the real world text or the in-world text in between the chapters, they're sometimes a slog to get through, for me at least, but even they did a great job at like adding more and more context to the world, like reading Hollis Mason's autobiography, reading like the Dr. Manhattan's superpowers and the superpowers. Really cool details. I don't know if those are only in the compact or if that's just in the full collection in general. I assume it's in the full collection in general, right? But just really nice details overall. Uh, and it's also kind of weird because a lot of the conflicts going on of like World War III, nuclear apocalypse, all people just sending off bombs and it going bad. That still exists in the modern world today. And so the fact that the book can distill a feeling that I know roughly is crazy. Like it makes a feeling inside of you that's just it's great. Um, and I noticed like all the like imagery or not imagery, the similarities between like modern time and in the book. Everything was like wow. It really just sticks with you the more and more as you read through it. Um, I didn't really know much going into the book other than obviously it was like a deconstruction of superhero media as a whole and like facing it with unique morals and ideals compared to just like Marvel or DC or like all the basic stuff, right? I don't know if this started that kind of trope, because I know like The Boys does it and stuff like that. I don't know if this started that trope or not, but it does a great job at it because it doesn't feel like any other superhero story I've heard. I know I haven't gotten big into comics, and maybe the more I go into comics, my opinion will change on Watchmen, better for the worse or better. I don't know. We'll see. I'll find out. But I will say, first few chapters definitely a little tough at pulling me in. They weren't bad, but after chapter 3 and 4, clearly talked. They were great. Like I said, I didn't not enjoy the first few chapters. I just I loved Rorschach's Tonight. A comedian died in New York. Awesome. And the somewhat repetition outline in the first two chapters. You know, it really sets it up. I'm also like, okay, I'm a little confused. What I don't that this guy doesn't seem like that good of a guy. Who killed him? You know, but I think it was a great way of having Rorschach in context with the world, going around to all the characters warning them about this masked hero killer. which is also a great tactic of introducing all of the cast for the story to us, or to me, to the reader. Um, and I would definitely confidently say that chapters 4 through 6 are the peak of the story for me. I mean, the last one is no, last one's not close. It's not. Chapters 4 and 6 are all so good. I think 5 probably the weakest, but 4 and 6 especially so good. It heightens Rorschach and Doctor Manhattan as characters through the roof completely. Um, as I said before earlier, Chapter 4's ending is beautiful, and the storytelling and writing throughout the entire chapter is just like it's astounding. Seeing how Doctor Manhattan exists within like every moment of time all at once, recalling his future but his past, like all together. So cool. Um, Chapters 5 and 6 pulled everything regarding Rorschach together for me. His five, because before he was like, oh, he's this uncatchable guy, he's this uncatchable man, but he lowered his guard to try to get information. He lowered his guard because he thought Moloch was just calling over for that info, but he's so it was set up, and so it easily was flipped over his head, and this unknown, uncatchable man is revealed to us against his own will, and he's screaming. It's like violent. Don't does isn't he like? Don't give me my face back, something like that. Great moment. The chapter 6, so good. I had high expectations just from things that I've heard about Rorschach as for him as a character. Still blown away. I don't want to completely get into the characters yet. I want to finish up wrapping up the story first. So I'll go back to Rorschach Starter Manhattan because I definitely want to talk about them more. I feel like I'm really mispronouncing Rorschach's name, so I'm sorry about that, but we'll see. Seeing Lori and Night Owl get closer to each other, till eventually embracing each other in the night in their like superhero outfits, it was a nice moment, but by then, especially, I wasn't attached to either of the characters really. Like, Night Owl had his little resurgence, or like Dan had his little resurgence back into Night Owl, and that was cool. He throughout the story from there, he gives like more sane depth, an in-depth investigation into what's happening. Kind of like the same coin as Rorschach's, but the different other side. So Rorschach's being like insane, black and white. Night Owl gives this very like actual intellectual, sane look at it, and that's how with eventually he's the one that pieces it all together. And his character's definitely not my favorite by any means. I wouldn't say he's even close. He was still very integral, and I can see that he was integral for the story. He was still a good character, just not personally my favorite. But he did free Rorschach from jail, which, he's chill. I feel like the moment Rorschach got freed from jail was when the story began to just like bump, 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 immediately start climbing. Like, Dr. Manhattan right after that came back into the story, takes Lori away to Mars to have that little conversation. The cops are breaking in, trying to get after Night Owl and Rorschach. Then they start to put the pieces together after that. And also, right before all that, when Night Owl and them had like the first like going out, the moment all that news came out, hysteria flooded the streets, and that is another one of the most impactful moments in the story for me. Is when all like the gang members started hearing about, oh, Night Owl, oh, we're gonna go beat this guy up, we gotta go get him, and so they rush because they think, oh, Hollis Mason, yeah, my dad used to know this old guy. So they rush Hollis Mason's house, invade his house, and proceed to literally bash his head in. And speaking of that moment, I just felt straight despair for Hollis. It was so sad. He did not deserve that at all. I mean, at that point, he was an old man who was like, oh yeah, let me throw on the old suit for the kids on Halloween. And he was just gonna do trick or treat, make the kids happy. And instead, he got this, like, it wasn't quick for him, but reading it, it was just like, bam. They break in. It's like hysteria flooding. You don't know what's happening. Next thing you know, head bashed in. It's like extremely tragic. And then the little kids have to discover his dead body. It's so sad, bro. It's I it I didn't even have time to process it in the moment. I was like, oh, damn, he's dead. Uh, but you know, going back to Doctor Manhattan and Laurie on Mars, just another beautiful moment in the story. I think Doctor Manhattan easily had the overall highest peaks out of any character in the story. Um, like he had multiple great moments. So I think Rorschach holds the best moment in the story. Doctor Manhattan has like continuous every time he's up, like every time he's there, every time he's in the picture. It's great writing, awesomeness. And this chapter especially, having Laurie slowly descend into like her own despair and madness in this conversation, until eventually the big reveal that, oh, Edward Blake, the comedian, that's her dad. One of the guys she hates the most. It's your dad. And it's the feeling of betrayal from her mom and like from the comedian, and that her entire life was a lie. It really feels great, and that pulled me in a lot to Laurie's character. That heightened her for me too. Like I wasn't really attached to her before then, but after that, I was pulled in, and it made you feel really empathetic for her. Like I felt bad for her because it's just like her entire life she was pushed into things that she didn't want to do. But I'll get back to that. Again, I'm trying to get sidetracked to talk about the characters too much. But the high of that chapter was still Dr. Manhattan. Towards the end, when he's discovering like the miracle of human life as like an equation, so good. And he decides to change his mind, go back, save the people. I'd say that moment probably third or second favorite moment in the book. As before, obviously Rorschach I think holds the best with his "It's us, only us" speech he does in chapter 6. Oh, great, takes the cake easily. It's just such an absolutely peak like piece of writing. I love it. But right after Laurie and Dr. Manhattan have their big moment, Rorschach and Night Owl discover the big reveal of the book. Who's behind it all? Adrian Veidt, aka Ozymandias. The big bad the whole time. He's been behind everything. He's been coercing it all. Ooh. But I wouldn't even say he's a big bad, because it's so sudden and dealt with in a way that really didn't feel like he's always a big bad villain. He's just not he's just a bad guy. And I know it's a whole, oh, the ends justify the means, and it's like, is this a few million for that? He manufactured the whole issue almost. Like the conflict was still there, but no one's gonna do anything because of Dr. Manhattan. So it's just a stalemate. And then he pushed Dr. Manhattan out of the equation so people would do something, so that he could kill millions to save the Earth from a conflict that he technically started. In no ends does it justify the mean. It doesn't. He's just a bad guy. He did selfish things to push himself and his accomplishments farther. So, it's just I think it's stupid. But and even then, if it didn't create the solution, his solution sucks. If he's able to make an alien that big and kill millions with it, he could have found a better solution. He didn't have to kill millions. So it just like right. It um and then all the characters be like, yeah, if we say anything, we're all screwed. Anyway, so I guess we just gotta keep quiet. He's right. But Rorschach, no. He does not compromise, even in the face of Armageddon. Love that. Uh and so no one else stands in their morals except Rorschach. But That's quickly put to an end when Dr. Manhattan literally explodes him, just dead. It was so out of the blue for me. I was in shock. I couldn't believe that Rorschach just died like that. Cause Dan and Lori change their identities. They kind of get to live their little happy ever after. Dr. Manhattan lives Earth to make his own world. Fight lives with the horrors that he's caused, but he did his accomplishment. He's like, what's his name? The Alexandria guy. He's so cool now. Literally the only character left with no remnants is Rorschach. The only thing he's left with is his journal, which is gonna hit the headlines and just flip everything anyways. At least that's how I interpret it. They're gonna put on the headlines, read it, post it, and then it's all gonna get sewn as a sham anyways, and the war's just gonna go back. So Vite killed millions for nothing. It's just ugh. It was a selfish act for his own benefits and accomplishments. But I mean, other than the ending, I don't have very many gripes with the story. I just think the ending was a little sudden and could have been done better. Could have been, you know, eh, I just not the biggest fan of the ending. It's not bad. Like, it's still good. It doesn't make the story bad. I just think it could have been a bigger ending, and I wasn't left as satisfied with it as I wanted to be. Only other gripe of the story I have is the damn Black Freighter comic parts of the story. Oh, I couldn't stand. Let me rephrase that. It's not that I couldn't stand it. It just kept throwing me out of the loop every time we got to it. I loved the newspaper stand, having the real world conversations, giving us that look into it. It felt like a community. It gave that sense of community. It made it again made the world feel realer. But the Black Freighter, I think, could just get chopped, and it would just not throw me out of the loop as much. It would be flow better. And I understand the Black Freighter is like a parallel with the story and how good. No, they could have been done better as well. It just slogged me down every time, but it doesn't do much for the story for me. But other than that, the story was great. Loved it. Uh, fantastic, it's a fantastic story. Not much more to say on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive into the characters a little bit more individually. I'll start with Rorschach first because he's probably tied with my favorite character in the story. Where do I even begin? Because Dr. Manhattan's probably tied with him. If he might be higher than Rorschach, I don't know. But everything about him, the symbolism behind his design and everything he stands for is just wow. He sees the world in this black or white view, especially justice and punishment to the justice. He doesn't have this gray view. So even a minor injustice could be the same as a criminal's eyes, but at the same time, he has an inconsistent view on justice. So, Edward Blake, for example, horrible guy, but he was trying to get back for his death and didn't think he deserved to die. Edward Blake wasn't a good guy. He in my books probably deserved to die. What? So that inconsistency with his views, yeah, it adds to his character. It shows me that he's imperfect. He thinks he's perfect, always on the right side, but he's not. So I always even before I thought he was a cool character, but he was just kind of one-sided. But after chapter 6, great character, fantastic. His speech towards the end of that chapter especially is what did it for me. It left me with straight chills down my entire arm. It was so good. It's a speech that forces you to come to the dark reality, or the dark possible reality of the world we're in, that we are alone. There is no excuse for our actions. There is nobody to blame but ourselves. There is no God that you can just say, oh, he made me do this. No. What if there's not? There's nobody to blame but ourselves. And I think this was the peak of his character for me, I mean, I don't think any of his other moments came nearly as close as it did to this one. I know it was great. Listen, now, Dr. Manhattan, as I've said multiple times, is the biggest shining spotlight in this book. The Watchmaker chapter, in my opinion, if you can't already tell, I think is the best writing moment, or best moment in general, maybe, in the story. It comes close to Rorschach's speech, but I don't know, they're probably tied. It's really good. I love that chapter. Like, overall, Rorschach's chapter 6 was really good, but it was great towards the end. I think Watchmaker is a great chapter through and through. It is fantastic. The way Moore handled, like, his writing, or Dark Manhattan's writing, is genius. Now, it was a little confusing to stick with at first, but understanding that he exists in every point of time all at once, his thoughts are in the past, like 10 seconds ago I dropped the paper, or 10 seconds into the future I dropped the paper. 138 minutes into the future, the meteor shower begins. So cool. Like 40 years in the past, I like died, or whatever he says, something like that. But it's so good. It's like fascinating to me. I love that chapter. I love that like technique for the entire story, but it is used the most and handled the best in that chapter, I feel like, especially for explaining his backstory. Such a good the like final panel with the glass palace, so majestic to me, and I loved it. The meteor shower coming down, so good. I really loved both Rorschach and Manhattan as characters, but I can't decide who I liked more. They both have like such great and unique moments with such different ideologies and morals. I really can't tell you which one I liked more. As for the rest of the cast, I wasn't truly drawn into any of them as I was with Rorschach or Manhattan. Like, they all had their moments, but they couldn't quite enchant me like they did. Night Owl was cool, like I said, or like, whatever, toward the end. But even then, it was just like, whatever. He was just another character to me, is what it felt like. Laurie's a little different. I did get pulled into her a little bit more after her shining moment. Obviously, the reveal of Blake is her father, and like her just spiral down. And it was really good. That made me feel really like sad for her and really touched with her. Like her emotions, and make her feel. It made me feel for her character, and I did enjoy that part of the story. It was a really good moment. But even then, it's just, she doesn't come close to Manhattan or Doctor or Rorschach, right? Like, she's a good character, really well written, but she just doesn't get to shine as much, I feel like, as they do. And she gets her happy ending though. Finally, for Vite, I don't really have anything to say to him or say about him other than I just feel like he was underutilized for most of the story. Like, there was a little real world in-world written stories about him, like his, especially towards the end, a lot of them were about Vite, but I don't know, like, he just wasn't underutilized. Like, he's the smartest man in the world, but there was never a point where you see that smartest man in the world until the end. And then it's just like, dude, you suck as a person. You're not a good guy. Like, I don't like you. And I wish that he was used more throughout the story, other than just all getting dropped at the end. And I think that's why the big reveal at the end, it's still a shock, but it didn't like blast me away. And I'll say it once again, his ends did not justify the means. He literally damn near created the problem that he solved. So, like, he's just a bad guy. I get that it's supposed to be like, oh, well, he technically did the right thing. So is he really a bad guy? No, he's a bad guy. He, he's a bad guy. He just shouldn't have done that. He wanted to boost his own accomplishments to rank himself up there with his hero. And to do that, he had to kill millions of people to go creating his utopia. Yeah. Um, and I get that the Black Freighter whole comic is supposed to be like a parallel with it. No. No. There could have been other better ways to utilize fight and hint at the thing. The only time he's really utilized that I can remember that's like good was when the assassin came up, shot him, but even then it's just like that's one moment. Okay, it's one moment. I think he could have been utilized more personally. I think instead of the Black Freighter comics, if they wanted to hit at the good guy you think might not really be the good guy, they could have just utilized Vike for that. And that's one of my biggest things. I wasn't sitting there I felt like I wish I was sitting guessing who like was behind all more of the story, but I wasn't because like the only characters that we were really intrigued with the whole time was the four main ones, and I knew it wasn't going to be them. So like I knew it wasn't Dan Draper. I knew it wasn't Lori. I just wish like there was more that was utilized, and like more for me to sit there and guess like, oh, is it Bite maybe, or is it that guy, or I wish there was more of that, especially from it's like a thriller, like a whodunit. It's not really a whodunit, but it's a who killed the comedian, who exiled this guy. It's a mystery, and I wish that I was sitting there trying to solve the mystery, but the story never did that for me. I was more focused on like the conflict of the world, or like I would say maybe that's just me. That might just be me through the reading it. That might just be because it's my first read. Maybe eventually I'll go back, give it another look, see if my opinion on any of that changes. But and I don't want it to sound like I'm just hating on the ending because like how it's thrown at me in the last three chapters. But I think while I think it's a little strange with his reveal and stuff, I still like things about those final parts. Like I love the parallel between the actual Ozymandias poem and the events in the second to last chapter. Awesome. Seeing that, I love the Ozymandias poem. And so seeing that, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I hope they use this because it's Ozymandias. I hope they use that. Uh, but other than that, like unlike the panel, like the dead bodies and stuff, I think the ending was a little thrown at it at the wall. It could have been done better, but if anyone wants to differ on that or wants a different opinion, let me know. I'm gladly have my eyes open for other opinions, but that's just my view on it currently. Um, and really, that's about all I have to say for Watchmen. As I've said, even with the gripes I have and have made real or made noticed. Sorry. I still think it's a great first read, especially with like the few I have to pick from. I think I'm really happy that I read this one first. I've heard something good things about this one. Like Batman Court of Owls. I want a little bit more. I want to read a little bit more Batman before I get into this one, just to get more context of the comic world of Batman. Not that I don't know anything about him, but Daredevil Born Again is also like it's a little bit of an older one, so I think it also still would have had some of the same issues here. But I'm glad that I read Watchmen first because it really just is great. Um, like through and through, really good real world connections, even with modern times and the symbolism behind it all. Its depth and darkness of the world kept me pulled in for the entire story almost. Overall, I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Pretty good score, especially for the first thing I'm covering. It's definitely set me further down the comic addiction, and as you can see as I've been reading this, I bought 2 more than what I had in the first day I picked up these comics. So, I really can't wait to dive into more stories. I know they're definitely going to be different from this. I'm definitely probably going to read Born Again or All-Star Superman next. Because I want a little bit, I want a little bit of action. There wasn't a lot of action in this, and that's okay. Just because the story's not action doesn't mean it's not good. But I'm craving a little bit of action right now, so the next topics I'm probably going to cover here will either be All-Star Superman or the Daredevil Born Again Premiere Collection. I also want to cover, like I said, I want to do movies and games on here as well. Games probably will come further down the line because I really want to go with the games that I have currently that I want to mention and cover this channel. I want to go in depth on those, like the Soul series. Love those. I want to do those justice and take as much time as I need to like truly dive into those and give my best own personal retrospective and analysis on them. And movies, I want to start movies off on this channel probably with either the new Superman, Fantastic Four, or Matt Reeves' Batman. I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, but Superman and Batman, I hold like the same score in my eyes. Both masterpieces of comic book movies, and they're great. I would love to cover those on the channel. I probably will, but the next ones y'all will most likely see, if not one of those movies, will be one of these two. I don't know which one yet. We'll figure that out. If, like I said before, if y'all have any recommendations for comics I should pick up or characters, I have like a big list already of stuff I want to get. My birthday's coming up like a month, so I'm hoping to try to get like a big haul then to get a lot of like the omnibus and stuff. The Venom omnibus, that's probably like the biggest one I want to get alongside like the Invincible compendiums, just because I've watched Invincible, like kept up with it. I know a little bit about the comics, but I still want to read them just because I've heard how good they are, like through and through consistently. But other than that, that's really all I have to say for today, guys. I'm gonna try and get a video out once a week, hopefully. College's coming up and I'm moving in like a month, so there might be moments where that dips down a little bit, but I'll try to stay consistent with it as much as I can. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe so you can be here for all the future topics that I plan to cover. But honestly, guys, I think that's a wrap for today. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will see y'all next week covering our next topic. Peace out.